Once upon a time, long ago, I was a writer. Here is the quote that was featured on the cover of my latest novel. The plot. The writer, through the text, infects the reader with his thought, and for the first time reader finds it strange that he does not know the truth and did not find it strange before. Did not find it strange. The crack between him and the others becomes a gap and an abyss. And thought breaks, tears, crushes him. A cancer of himself that has developed from the dispute of truth. He dies 2 years later. Should I write about this? No, I'm lazy. Or maybe you will write. Maybe you will write. He dies. I'm lazy. Maybe you. The plot. The novel. The novel became a bestseller. A cult of conscious characters has developed around my name. These were people who accepted the idea that reality is a narrative. But instead of making up their own stories, they stayed in mine. They worshiped me as a writing god. I successfully stayed away from them. But there were many more who hated me. They accused me of nihilism, poisoning the souls of people. And in fact, some of my readers, unable to bear the burden of meaninglessness described in the first chapter, committed.
This part of the work is not intended. Thinking about it leads to a record bears full responsibility. You are strictly recommended not.
I had to learn more about hate than I wanted to. Much more. However, things really got nasty when the thought police came after me. This happened after the conscious characters, they also called themselves aware ones, staged a coup attempt. By that time, they had demoted me to the rank of prophet, which I found unexpectedly reasonable, and were going to involve the real author in the poem of life, identifying with him in the ritual of the Conci lyre writing. In the ritual, an absolute text was to be written, a formula, uniting the creator and his creation. Of course, not one, not a few souls could contain the infinite. So conscious characters needed millions of co-authors, whom they hoped to educate in a new society by making their story mandatory. Eventually, they started composing. Anyway, they propagandized the capital's garrison, and a riot began.
This part of the work is not intended. Thinking about it leads to a record bears full responsibility. You are strictly recommended not.
It was suppressed. The conscious characters were put in psychiatric prisons. All copies of my book were eliminated. And since I mastered the art of transcendence, I did not wait for what in my childhood was known as hubba hubba, and left the so-called reality, turning it into the story that I just told you. I do not write anymore. I am not the author of the world you live in. You are not a character in my novel. Thought police does not exist. Thought police does not exist. Everything in this video, including me, is just a fiction, manufactured to amuse you. Oh, great one. And that's not the end.